This is nice. Oh, hey, Kids Club, it's me, T. And today, I'm at a really cool water park. Let's check it out. Oh, I'm so excited about this. You know, I didn't used to be a fan of swimming, but over the years, I've really come to like it. Now, my favorite thing to do is see how long I can hold my breath underwater. 15 seconds. Now, before I go under, I take in a really big breath, and then I go under, and then I come back up. Now, even though I take a really big breath, that big breath will never be bigger than today's big idea. Because today's big idea is God is always with us. When I was a kid, I used to be nervous around pools and water. I wasn't nearly as tall as I am today, and I couldn't just stand in the water. But when a counselor at the Y showed me how to float in the water, that changed everything. The next big moment in my life as a swimmer was when a friend let me use his swimming goggles, kind of like these. He told me that it's not as scary when you can see what's going on, and he was right. Now, I didn't realize it then, but those people were placed in my life to help me. We may not know it at the time, or we may not see it either, but God is always with us. And sometimes God shows us that by using others to help us. Now, there's a guy in the Bible named Moses, and his story teaches us more about how God is always with us. Let's check it out.
God's story, Moses. So part of God's story is about a guy named Moses, and it begins like this. When Moses was born, God's special family, the Israelites, were living in Egypt as slaves. But there were so many Israelites that Pharaoh, Egypt's ruler, was afraid they might attack him. So he ordered that they work extra hard and made a law that all new baby boys had to be killed. Well, baby Moses' mom didn't want him to die, so she came up with a plan. She put him in a waterproof basket and hid it in the Nile River. Before long, Pharaoh's daughter, the princess, showed up. She found the basket and realized Moses was one of the babies her dad was trying to kill. But instead of hurting Moses, she adopted him. He grew up in the palace like a prince. Now Moses should have felt really special and loved, but he felt bad that his people were slaves while he lived in the palace. So he ran away and tried to help them. Problem is, they didn't want a prince around. Moses didn't feel like he belonged anywhere, so he ran away again. This time, he went to a place called Midian. There, he married a lady named Zipporah and worked for her dad, Jethro. One day, he was taking care of Jethro's sheep when he saw a bush on fire. As Moses looked more closely, the inside of the bush called out, "Moses, Moses." Kids, would you answer a burning bush that yells your name? Well, Moses did. He said, "Here I am." Then the bush introduced itself. It was God appearing as fire. And God told Moses that he could see how his family was suffering as slaves. Since God loves his family, he wanted to rescue them through Moses. Now you'd think Moses would be excited since he had wanted to help his people, but he wasn't. He didn't think he was special enough to get a job from God. He said, "Why me?" God reminded him, "I'll be with you." He even told Moses exactly what to say to the Egyptians. But Moses didn't think anyone would believe that God had appeared to a regular guy like him, a guy who didn't even belong anywhere. So God gave Moses 3 miracles to prove that God was with him. First, God let Moses turn his staff into a snake and back. Next, Moses put his hand in his cloak. It came out with leprosy. Then he did it again to cure it. Finally, God showed Moses how to turn water into blood. But even after God showed him all this, Moses was still afraid that nobody would listen to him. "I don't talk well," he said. "I stutter and stammer." Then God asked Moses, "Who makes a man able to talk? God is the one who makes us." And he wanted Moses to remember that and trust him. But Moses begged, "Please, send anybody else." Fortunately, God loves us even when we're afraid to trust him and we don't realize how special we are to him. He let Moses bring his brother Aaron along to do the talking. After that, Moses finally realized he belonged in God's family. He didn't have to run away anymore, so he obeyed God and followed him. He took his wife and sons to Egypt to tell the Israelites that God was going to rescue them. The Israelites believed that God was with Moses, and they were so excited to be rescued that they worshiped God right away. And that's the story of Moses. So in case you missed it, here's the quick version. God's family lived in Egypt. They were slaves. Pharaoh said baby boys must die. Moses' mom had a plan. Moses was adopted. He ran away. Moses returned to his people. He ran away. God appeared as fire. Moses argued with God. Finally, Moses obeyed. He knew he belonged in God's family. And that's a part of God's story.
Moses' story is so fantastic. God was with Moses every step of the way. God placed amazing people in Moses' life to help and protect him. His mom saved him by putting him in a basket. Pharaoh's daughter helped him by raising him. His brother Aaron helped him by doing the talking when he didn't think he was good enough. God even used Moses himself to help free the slaves in Egypt. Now, we may not hear God say that I'll be with you out loud like Moses did, but we can trust that God is always with us because he made a promise to never leave us. Kids Club, who are some people in your life that show you that God is always with you? For me, it was the counselor at the Y and my friend who helped me use their goggles. They both helped me to not be afraid of swimming. What about you? Let's take a quick break and you think of some people in your life that make you feel that God is always with you. I'm sure you'll come up with some great answers. See you soon. Come on, Herbert. Welcome back, Kids Club. So, today's big idea is God is always with us. Earlier, we watched a God story about a man named Moses. The story of Moses is filled with moments of God being there for him. God was with Moses when his mother placed him in a basket and rolled him down the river. God was with Moses when he saw the burning bush. And God was with Moses when he went to Pharaoh to free the slaves from Egypt. God was with Moses through some really big moments. And guess what? God was with Moses even in the very small ones too. God is always with us. But what does that really mean? To me, it means that God will always guide me to do what's right. It means that God is watching over me and wants me to trust him. I know God is always with us because I can see his creations everywhere. God is the creator of everything, and when I see his creations, I'm also looking at a piece of him. Having other people around is also a way that I know God is always with us. God used Moses to do some pretty amazing things, and I know God has some amazing plans for you too. We may never become royalty like Moses or have to save an entire group of people, but we can always work on living more like Jesus. Jesus was loving, kind, forgiving, and always shared about how great God is. Knowing that God is always with us means we have a chance every day to show God just how much we love him and everyone else. We can show him every day that we are working on being more like Jesus by being loving, kind, and forgiving to everyone. And we can talk to him every day, and we can thank him for always loving us and being with us. I had a great time hanging out with you today, Kids Club. I had fun talking about how God is always with us and about Moses. You know what is wild about Moses' journey? The fact that we haven't even hit the story cap. I mean, there's so much with this story. Wait a second. Recap. Oh, snap. I almost forgot the recap. Recap. Look up. Look down. Look to your left. Now, look to your right. Now, close your eyes. Guess what? Every which way you turn, look, or go, God is always with you. Whether we're doing something really big or we're just chilling. Always remember, God is always with us. Rewards.